Howdy YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Gunman. So today we're going to be continuing on with the repair, prime and spray painting procedure on Alex's Jeep Grand Cherokee. So the job basically is front, rear bumpers, side skirts, all of the flares and including some black parts, but we're mainly focusing on the bonnet and guards here. And today we're going to be doing the clear coat stage only. So the clear coat that we're using is the Quartz Liquid Glass, and the spray gun that we're using is the DeVilbiss DV1 C2 with the 1.3mm cap on it. So I had been using the Jet X for the last sort of 2 months prior to going back to the DV1, and I was actually pleasantly surprised. I'd sort of built up the Jet X to be so good in my mind that I thought it was so much better than these other guns that when I did go back to the DV1, I was like, damn man, this thing is actually a really good gun. So just for factory finishes, you know, not going for the ultimate flat finishes, but obviously look, we're not going for that. You're not going for that sort of flow coated finish when you're spraying a everyday regular car. You want a little bit of orange peel in it, you want a little bit of body for that clear, you want you want that factory look. There's no use in going and having bonnet, guards and bumpers dead flat when the rest of it's got orange peel in it. So that's what we're looking for. But yeah, another thing that is sort of crucial I've found these days to the orange peel and the finish is the temperature of the clear. A lot of people will sort of focus on the spray gun and application and completely forget about, well, the thing that you're actually spraying down, which is, it's got to be the most important part. So I could get potentially the same finish with many different spray guns, but if you mixed up the clear a certain way, there's only a certain finish that I can get with it, if that makes sense. Of course, that's not to say that the spray gun and the application don't count for anything, because they definitely do. But yeah, obviously a key part of that is the clear coat that you're using and the way that you mix it up, the temperatures and all that kind of stuff. So look, this is one of those trades that I'm just getting better and better. Like I've been doing it for 25 years, right? And I swear I actually, like, I think back to the spray painter that I was even 3 to 5 years ago. I've got so much better, and that's not me just saying I'm the best spray painter, any of that. No, I'm just saying that I can notice the improvements in even just my knowledge of the trade, and yeah, just little things like that. And again, not saying that I've ever been a bad spray painter, but you know, it's amazing the amount that you can still learn after doing it for so long, right? So yeah, like I say, 25 years, and 5 years ago I'd been 20 years in the trade, but I still had a lot to learn. And the other thing is that, like, I'm always tweaking. It might only be like a 1% or a 2%er, but like I say, those 1%, those 2%, they stack up. I'm always tweaking my procedure. So I can probably guarantee you that in 3 to 5 years, I'll look back at this video and I'll be like, damn, I can't believe I used to do that. You know, even little things like wearing gloves. Like, I never used to wear gloves when I was prep soling. I never used to wear a respirator when I was prep soling. So little things like that. I know they're only like a OH&S thing, but you know, especially as you do get older, you do start thinking about your health a little bit more. So yeah, I do recommend paying close attention to that, because yeah, they are some pretty nasty chemicals that we are dealing with. But another one that I started doing a few years ago, I don't always do it, but yeah, depending on the finish that I'm looking for, I crank the pressure up on the first coat. So this gun here, it does actually have the digital gauge on it, so it's obviously only relative to this spray gun. But yeah, you run this gun at 1.55 bar on the digital gauge. That is actually equivalent to 2 bar, or 1.5 is equivalent to 2 on the base of the gun. So I do just preface that by saying, yes, it sounds low, but it's not. It's because, yeah, higher up on the gun, the pressure does drop down a little bit. But I say that, so on my first coat, I'll go say 1.6, 1.55, 1.6, and then on the second coat, I'll go even 1.45, 1.5. Again, you can tweak that a little bit, and that will actually manipulate the finish that you're getting. So, you know, if you want a really thick peel, you can even lower that pressure on the first coat as well, but you do run the risk. So you may have also noticed that having that lower pressure, I'm slowing right down on this second coat, so that gives me a nice wet sort of a flowing finish. Whereas with that first coat, you're just sort of setting up, you're setting it up with minimal orange peel if you go with the high pressure, but if you drop that pressure down, you're actually going to set yourself up for a thicker, heavier orange peel, but you do run the risk of getting some solvent boil. So if you lower that pressure on your first coat and you don't wait long enough between coats and then you hound another coat on, bang, you bake that too hot too soon, and you run the risk of getting solvent boil. And look, again, this is one of those things that as I've sort of matured and got older and sort of looked at the finishes over time, I would much prefer a little bit of orange peel, a little bit of like a thinner finish, rather than having solvent boil. I think that solvent boil is one of the worst paint imperfections that you can have, and many people will look at it and say, oh, that'll come out with a buff, and technically yes, you can hide it with a buff, but what they are is they are little air pockets inside your clear coat, right? So what that will do is you've made it so that your clear coat is not a perfect unbroken finish, so that clear coat is going to degrade much faster, right? So a solvent boiled finish in the sun and in the dirt and in the elements, it will die so much faster. So again, that is one of those little things that I'm a bit more attuned to as I've got older. I do care. Like, I want my finishes looking good as long as possible. So another thing that I did definitely notice was the improved quality on this clear coat compared to what I use on the daily. So I painted this on the Saturday and I handed it back to Alex on the Sunday. But the gloss retention was much better than the LVC 131, which I usually use. Now, I'm not saying that I dislike 131, but I noticed that it does drop a little bit of gloss, right? And it's less noticeable over the one visit. So a lot of the time I will actually use the one visit at work. So like I say, many of the issues that I do sort of come across with PPG, I've managed to overcome, and I rate PPG these days. I actually really enjoy spraying it, to be honest. And that's a far shot from me of 3 to 5 years ago. I was struggling. I felt like I needed some help, and look, ultimately it made me a better painter, so I've got to thank it, really. And even things like colors, it's good. It's good stuff, actually. The biggest criticism that I will make of PPG is that I still think it's way overpriced, but look, on the quality and ease of use, look, I actually quite enjoy spraying it. So there you go. I'm definitely not a PPG hater. I did have somewhat of a reputation among some people to be a PPG hater. I never hated it. I just didn't like what it was doing for me. But again, to be fair on PPG, it's not exclusive to them. All of your high-end paint brands, I think, are getting crazily expensive, especially when we're trying to make $1 on these jobs. It just makes it harder and harder when the prices of the materials keep going up. Standox, Glazeret, Sikkens, all those brands, paint prices are getting crazy. But there you go, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. And another good point is that Quartz Liquid Glass is a budget clear, but it's top quality. One other thing worth mentioning is that it does take a little bit longer to dry, but I have found that that's just the trade-off. Like the higher quality, higher gloss clears, they do generally take a little bit longer to dry. Till next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.